I stood by Grandpa's bedside, holding a cold cup of tea and his final note. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. The house is yours. He died that same day, the very day I brought him his medication, the pills the doctor prescribed. But I knew, he didn't die from illness. He died from betrayal. And shame. It wasn't me who betrayed him. It was my older sister, Lauren. It all began 6 months earlier, when Mom died. Cancer. Fast. Brutal. No second chances. Just the three of us left. Me, Lauren, and Grandpa Henry, the only person who never pretended to love us both the same. He loved me. And Lauren knew it. We lived in a house on the outskirts of Greenville, Utah, a 2-story brick home with a porch where Grandpa sat every morning, reading the paper and sipping black coffee. After Mom passed, we had to decide what to do with the house. Lauren said right away, "You don't even have a job, you can't pay the bills." And it was true. I wasn't working then. I was caring for Grandpa. But Lauren was an accountant at a big firm, renting a downtown apartment, and she'd been dreaming of her own space for over a year. One day, when Grandpa could barely get out of bed, she showed up with documents and a pen. "Just sign, Henry. It's temporary. Until Emily gets back on her feet." He signed. A week later, the house was legally hers, transferred through a notarized deed. Grandpa never read the fine print. He trusted her. He trusted his granddaughter. When I found out, Lauren was standing by the window with a glass of wine, not even turning around as she said, "You'll die first anyway." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked out. And from that day on, I started counting. Lauren thought revenge meant tears and accusations. She was wrong. Revenge is giving everything so you can take away the one thing someone else has left. Not money. Not property. Trust in the world. First, I got a job. Office manager at a small law firm, not glamorous, but steady. The paycheck covered a room in a boarding house on the other side of town. Every night, I went to the library. I studied property law, inheritance rules, mental capacity assessments for elderly signers. I read court rulings. I searched for a loophole. And I found one. Grandpa Henry had mild dementia. He was 82. On the day he signed those papers, he'd been taking strong sedatives, medication Lauren herself had bought him, to help him relax. That meant he couldn't legally be considered competent at the time of signing, which meant the transfer was challengeable. But going to court would reveal my hand. And I didn't want her to know I was playing. I wanted her to feel defeat slowly, like mold creeping up basement walls. Barely visible at first. Then everywhere. I started with the neighbors. Mrs. Tilden, the widow across the street, adored Grandpa. She used to bring him pies and sit with him on the porch. After Lauren took ownership, she barred Mrs. Tilden from the house. "He's tired," Lauren told her. "He's sick." In truth, Grandpa asked about her every single day. I visited Mrs. Tilden under the pretense of returning old books. Really, I came to tell her indirectly. "He still asks about you. But Lauren won't let anyone in now. Says he's not himself." "What do you mean?" She frowned. "Nothing. I'm just worried about him." A week later, Mrs. Tilden showed up at the house with a deputy sheriff. Lauren, stunned, stepped onto the porch. "He's not sick. He's just old," she shouted. "Then why doesn't he answer the phone? Why haven't we seen him outside?" Mrs. Tilden asked. Grandpa, hearing her voice, came to the door. He looked terrible, thin, in a worn robe, hair unwashed. Mrs. Tilden burst into tears. The deputy made a note in his pad. Lauren started hating the neighbors. She closed the curtains. Stopped stepping outside. But that was only the beginning. Next came her job. Lauren worked herself to the bone, 60 hours a week. Her boss, Mr. DeLanne, valued her for her precision and work ethic. But he didn't know that last year, she'd falsified a client report to hide a junior colleague's mistake. I'd overheard her late-night phone call back when I still lived in the house. "If this comes out, I'm fired." I didn't act directly. Instead, I sent an anonymous letter to the company's internal audit department. No names. Just a description of the error and the date. A week later, an investigation launched. Lauren was called into HR. She came home that night, face twisted, and smashed a mug against the floor. Someone's trying to set me up, she told Grandpa, not looking at him. He said nothing, but I saw it. For the first time in his life, he doubted her. Grandpa's health declined. Lauren hired a part-time caregiver, but the woman rarely came. I knew why, because I'd arranged it. I approached her at a cafe, introduced myself as a family friend, and said, "Lauren never pays on time. We're all afraid of her." The caregiver quit 3 days later. Now Lauren had to care for Grandpa herself. Cook, wash dishes, do his laundry. She couldn't kick him out. He was still legally listed on the deed. And she knew, if he died under her watch, the city might launch an investigation, especially after the deputy's visit. She became a prisoner in her own home. Every day the same. No parties. No dates. Just work and Grandpa. And at night, calls to her boss, tears into her pillow, fear. And I watched. Silently. From afar. One day, she saw me outside the grocery store. I was by my car, coming back from work. She walked up, fists clenched. "It was you, wasn't it? You did all this." "All what?" I asked, meeting her eyes. "The neighbors, my job, the caregiver. Maybe it's just karma, Lauren. Maybe you brought this on yourself when you stole." I stopped. Didn't say stole. That word needed to echo in her mind, not come from my lips. She grabbed my arm. "You're nothing. You can't do anything. And you're a thief," I said quietly. "And you know it." She let go and walked away, trembling. For the first time in her life, she looked afraid. 2 weeks later, Grandpa fell. Broke his hip. The hospital said he was too weak for surgery. He'd spend the rest of his life bedridden. Lauren had to pay for his care. But she had no money. She couldn't sell the house, it was under lien from my lawsuit. I'd filed it a week before his fall. Quietly. No fanfare. Just a notary and a judge. She came to my office. No shouting. No threats. Just sat across from me and stared. "Why?" she asked. "You gave me a choice. Leave or be homeless. I chose a third option. I'm your sister." "You were," I said. "Until you betrayed the man who raised us." She cried, really cried. Not for show, but from despair. "I didn't think he'd die. I thought it was temporary." "Temporary?" I gave a dry laugh. "You said, you'll die first anyway. You prayed for it." She said nothing, just stood and left. The next day, I walked into the house. Grandpa lay in the living room on a fold-out bed. Lauren couldn't afford hospice. He opened his eyes and smiled. "You're back?" "Forever," I said, taking his hand. 3 days later, Lauren vanished. Left the keys on the kitchen table and a note. "I'm sorry. I don't deserve to be here." No one knows where she went. Maybe another state. Maybe a new name. But she left the house and everything in it. Grandpa lived 2 more months. Every day, I read him the paper. We drank coffee on the porch. He often said, "You didn't take revenge, Emily. You just restored justice." "No, Grandpa," I'd reply. "Revenge is making someone feel exactly what you felt." And I made her live in the cage she built herself. Now I live in that house alone. Sometimes an unknown number calls. I never answer. Let her wonder if I'm still waiting. Let her fear. Let her remember. Because revenge isn't the end of the story. It's its shadow. And it never disappears.